Hey everyone, and welcome. So today, we're diving into a tool that's making some serious waves in the developer community. It's called Moltbot, and its tagline alone is a pretty bold claim, the AI that actually works. We're going to find out if it lives up to that hype. And this is the line that got everyone talking. This AI assistant books flights while you sleep. Now look, in a world full of AI hype, you hear stuff like this all the time. But this wasn't just some marketing slogan. This was a real, demonstrable feature, and it absolutely captured the imagination of developers who are tired of just talk.
So to really get why Moltbot is such a big deal, you have to look at the problem it's trying to solve. Let's be honest, most of the AI tools we use today are basically super smart search engines, right? They're amazing at finding info, maybe writing some boilerplate code, but the second you ask them to do something, like actually take an action in the real world, they just can't. They can find, but they can't act.
And that leads us right into the core promise of Moltbot. It's built from the ground up to be something different. It's designed to be an AI that breaks out of the chat window and actually takes action for you. I mean, just look at this comparison. It says it all. On the left, you have the standard AI dance. It's a back and forth, where at the end of the day, you still have to click the final button. But on the right, that's Moltbot. You give one command, and it just does it. It books the flight, puts it on your calendar, sends you the email. It's the difference between having an advisor and having a real assistant. And what we're looking at here is a whole new category of tool, a proactive AI assistant. Think about that. It's not just sitting there waiting for your next command. You give it a goal and it works towards it, figuring out the steps on its own. This is a fundamental shift, a real game changer in how we can think about using AI. Okay, so that all sounds incredible, but how? How does it actually pull this off? Let's pop the hood and see what makes this thing tick. Right here, this is the secret sauce, persistent memory. You know how ChatGPT forgets everything the moment you close the browser tab? Moltbot doesn't. It has long-term memory. You can tell it just one time, hey, I always prefer window seat, and you never have to say it again. From that point on, it just knows. It learns your preferences. That's the power of having a memory that actually sticks around. So what does this all add up to in the real world? How about this? A staggering 56 hours saved per month. Think about that for a second. By automating all those little tasks, scheduling meetings, sorting emails, doing research, you get back more than a full week of work every single month. And if the time savings didn't blow you away, check out the ROI. It's just wild. If you translate those 56 hours into what an engineer's time is worth, you're looking at thousands of dollars in productivity. Now compare that to maybe $20 in API costs to run it yourself, and yeah, you get this absolutely jaw-dropping 21,000% return on your investment. That's insane.
You know, every viral project has a good story, and this one is no different. It actually started out as Clawdbot because it used the Claude API. Well, Anthropic wasn't too thrilled about that and raised some trademark issues, so the developer had to quickly rebrand to Moltbot. And it created this classic Streisand effect. The controversy just blew it up even more, and the open source community totally rallied around it.
And I think this quote from a developer on Reddit just nails it. This isn't about making your search queries a little bit faster. It's about offloading entire chunks of your workflow. It's about replacing a secretary, not just a search engine. And that is a value proposition that really, really hits home for its users. Okay, but with all this power, an AI that has keys to your calendar, your email, your API tokens, comes some pretty serious risk. We have to talk about the other side of this coin. Could Moltbot be a security time bomb just waiting to go off? Right. You knew this was coming, didn't you? There's always a catch. When you have a tool this powerful, with this much autonomy and access to your entire digital life, there are going to be some major trade-offs. And it is absolutely critical that we look at them head-on. So let's be perfectly clear, and to his credit, the developer has been totally transparent about this. Your data, your API keys, your entire conversation history, it's all stored in unencrypted plaintext files. That means if someone compromises your server, or if you happen to install a malicious plugin, an attacker could potentially get access to, well, everything. This is not a guess. This is the documented reality of the tool today. Now, the good news is, since the audience for this is technical, there are concrete things you can do to protect yourself. But these are non-negotiable. You absolutely have to run Moltbot in an isolated Docker container with lockdown permissions. You have to use firewall rules, like the IP tables example you see here, to control its network access. And you have to be paranoid about which plugins you install. Only use trusted ones. And here's the bottom line. Yes, encryption is on the roadmap for later this year, and that's fantastic. But if you install Moltbot today, you are the security team. Full stop. The entire responsibility for protecting your data and hardening the system falls squarely on your shoulders. All right, so we've seen the incredible power, and we've stared into the pretty serious peril. That brings us to the big question. With everything we now know, should you actually use Moltbot? This table really lays out the trade-off perfectly. With Moltbot, you get true proactive actions, long-term memory, and you can self-host it for total data privacy. Nobody else offers that. But the price you pay is user-managed security and a pretty high setup complexity. With the big guys like ChatGPT and Claude, you get easy setup and enterprise-grade security, but you give up all that autonomy and control over your data. So who's the ideal user for this right now? Well, if you're a solo dev, a DevOps engineer who dreams of 24/7 automation, or really anyone who's technical enough to lock this thing down properly, it's a potential game changer. If you're willing to manage the risk for the sake of privacy and power, this is for you. And on the flip side, who should probably hit the pause button? Honestly, if you're in a regulated industry like healthcare or finance, if your team doesn't have a dedicated security expert, or if you handle any sensitive customer data, you should steer clear, at least for now. The compliance risks are just too high in its current form. Which brings us right back to the central question. Moltbot gives us this incredible peek into the future of what AI assistants can be, truly autonomous partners with amazing productivity gains. But it forces you to take on a level of risk that we've been trained to avoid. So you have to ask yourself, is that power worth the risk? Ultimately, that's a decision only you can make. Hopefully, this breakdown helps you make an informed one. For more deep dives on the latest AI tools for DevOps and developers, make sure you subscribe to Gearware DevOps AI. Thanks for tuning in.